Yeah, look at this. Look at that sunrise. There are higher rivers out there. I'm standing in Ohio. These hills way out there are the hills of West Virginia. Look at that. Looks like a painting, doesn't it? Man, pretty sky. Looks real good, but you know, when that stuff washes out of the bank and falls down, it eventually gets out in here and settles on the base clay, in the pockets where it levels out. And it takes years and years of accumulation. It might take 20 years to get a good beach out here to sift. And then once you sift it, that 20 years of erosion and sediments is gone. I just did that on a place up the river where I found that lance, probed out the pockets, dug it all. It'll take years for it to be good like it was before I sifted it. And there wasn't a lot of stuff there. I found a couple little frames of points, but that was years of accumulation. You know, I go up there today, I'm gonna struggle to find a point where I found that lance. Just been finding some broken ones. I have a shot, but it's not a very good shot like it was. You see what I'm saying? This place has been all sifted out. The bank's got growth on it now, holding stuff into the bank. Not much is washing out all summer. It does in the winter. And you know, here at right now, I'm done digging the whole winter accumulation on a whole site up the river. Don't feel like there's really, I feel like there's a 30% shot if I stay 5 hours to find something for a video. And maybe not even that. Like 10 more yards up in there, I dug a stem paleo lance made out of Nelly Chert. Just all kind, like probably 25 other little points, 25 little tools, some stone tools, and I haven't found nothing there for, it's been at least 5 years. Nothing's washed out of the bank. I sifted all the fire pits, sifted all the material and threw it out, and there's just nothing. It'll probably take 100 years for it to accumulate again. Well, I got to talk about this too. Found all this stuff on like a mile of shoreline, and you know, it's kind of hit and miss. It's real hard clay. The base clay's real hard and the bank's real hard clay. There's not a lot of erosion, but there's stuff laying in the dips of the base clay. Just going, it's kind of complex where I found this stuff. You got to kind of go around and probe and find the pockets of rock and then dig them till there's nothing left in them. And then you move on to the next little pocket. And that's what I did all the way down the shore. I just wasn't digging everywhere. I was going to the best spots, bringing all the flakes with me. This is from about the last week, and you see there's a lot more artifacts. That's a biface there. There's little flint tools in here. I need to go through it, but the place is cleaned out. Last 3 trips I went, just finding tips and bases, wee little pieces that could easily be missed, and maybe that many flakes a trip, maybe a few more. See, there's a knife right there, and it was handfuls when I started. I've got all the pockets of stuff that washed out sifted, so it's over on that stretch. I was hoping to find another lance, but you know, that's how it goes. I was happy to get that stuff. That's some pretty nice looking stuff for less than a month, and a lot of flakes and tools too, nutting stones, but it could have been way better. I could have found a triple this amount. It just depends. That's kind of an average haul for all the sifting I did. But now, today, I'll probably go out and try a different spot and just do the same technique. Take my probe out, maybe spend 20 or 25 minutes and walk up maybe 25 to 40 yards up or down the shore. Use my probe, find all of the pockets of rock, mark the bank. I usually mark the bank, and then I just go up through and dig those spots. It's real easy if you mark them. You can mark them with a stick down in, stick a stick down in, or anything like that. I just usually mark the bank and then go up through and sift it and settle in on the best spot with the most flakes and artifacts in your screen, of course. That's all I'm doing. And you know, I take all the flakes. I take everything that would catch my eye in a screen, take it home with me and put it in bags and stuff. Any flint flakes, anything like that, I try to take it. But all hunters don't.
I know some guys that'll throw it all in their boat, like on the seat, and then throw it up on the shore when they leave. And you might think you're in a good spot. The gauge for me is I take all the flint, just take it, all of it. So I know if I'm into it, it's probably worth digging. And I'll dig like an hour. It tops you, and I dig hard. I do a lot of screens per hour. But if I'm not seeing an artifact in my screen per hour at the minimum, it's time to move on to another place. Most likely it's been sifted. And you'll get to the point where you'll be able to tell it's been sifted. You'll be able to see shovel marks on a piece of sandstone, or look at the bank and just tell someone's dug there, even if there isn't fresh shovel marks. Most of it, just of this sifting, it's just time spent. Just out. You'll eventually know by taking test screens where you're going to do good and where you're not. And then you'll just gradually have more eureka moments, and you'll get it. What I'm telling you is exactly right on. If you're doing what I'm doing, you're going to be finding points on the Ohio River. Later. And last summer, I found all of this stuff. Plus, this isn't even the good stuff. I have smaller frames with the best points in it, and lots of stone tools and other celts. So much stuff you can't believe it. Almost like a lifetime collection. And how I found that much stuff, it was an untouched place that had been, the water was up and barges come in and tore out a bunch of stuff, and artificially, and in behind huge rocks and logs and stuff, all this stuff was laying untouched. It had never been sifted. The places that I looked when I was a kid in the 80s and stuff, you'd get on a place and surface hunt and find 4 or 5 serrated points every trip. Go on the weekend and have 4 or 5 points. It was that loaded. But now it's all sifted down. And you know, for me to go back to this place, I sifted it all. And once you sift it, it's over. It's done. There's no more. I've went back multiple times, really haven't found nothing. Just struggled to even find flakes, because I brought them all. I've got, I'd say, a garbage can full of debitage off this place that I found all this stuff. But it's just, I got all the stuff, got nice displays, and that's it. Hope this explains a little more in depth. There's really no place around here that's not been sifted. There's multiple other people that look for artifacts. You know, you get around Marietta, every place has been looked. You're never going to stumble on to some place that is untouched. Not anymore. 30 years ago, 20, maybe 20 years ago, you still could. But you're going to get into a good area, though, if you pick around big rocks and tree roots and look for erosion. You'll get into some place like this, and it'll make your year. How I got all this stuff so quick, the river was up and they were working on the locks and dam, the Army Corps of Engineers. So they were working on the locks. So the barges going through the locks had to wait. And the water was up and they were pulling into the bank with them huge barges loaded down with coal. And imagine how heavy and how much force a big barge with those loaded down coal barges weigh. They were hitting the bank, and they hit a place that was rocky and blew all the rocks out and caved it in and exposed ancient layers that were untouched, sand layers with all this stuff in them. I'll put my first video up, and I'll put a video from this series where I found a couple nice points here at the end. I hope that explains more to you. I got lucky. I could never go back to this place. I could maybe dig around where I was finding this stuff, but it's so much work, and some of the stuff's so deep, it's just almost impossible to get it. I got all that was pretty much I was capable of getting, and you see, I haven't found any points there for a while. I might not for years, folks. Years. Look here, folks. The dog bubby's doing awesome. I've been looking the last couple days. I went to a dump yesterday, and there's an old Avon bottle. I dug this. I still got to get some more. Let's get some rust in there. I got to soak it again. But that's kind of cool for free. It's a little car. Put it on one of my find shelves. Well, I guess the highlight of the last couple days was the Avon car, because that looks pretty cool up there on my dump find shelf. Oh, that's a bunch of stuff. Look here. Here's my buddy. This was the #1 find the last year. Amos the kitty. The dog loves him, and I love him too. It's my good boy. He's a good cat. He's real nice and real smart. Doesn't bother nothing. Hasn't made a mess anywhere. Real well behaved. Look at him. He's beautiful. A buddy. Tell him you're about 1 year old. Well, I'm going to go arrowhead hunt today. I have a bunch of clips on my GoPro. I found some ACLs and stuff too up there in the dump, bottles, but they're all bottles I found 100 times in videos before, so I'll go try to find a nice arrowhead today. I'll see you on the next one. I hope you enjoyed.